everybody. It's nice to see you all here in the audience today. We'd like to give a special welcome to our Simon & Schuster's ambassador, Ms. LaShonda Nakwa. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. She also edited this volume of Rise. We'd like to say hello to our school leaders, our teachers, the students, and the parents who came. We really appreciate all of you guys and your hard work this year. We're going to start off by talking about a little bit what Rise means to us.
So, what Rise means to me is it's a form of expression to tell your stories and to tell the way you feel, and have it published in a book is really the opportunity of a lifetime. You know, people go on their whole lives without ever getting published, and all they want is to be published, and we are being published as high schoolers, and that's amazing. That's truly amazing. So, next up is Power of Rise.
Wow, the power of Rise. Rise is powerful in the way that it helps every one of us get our voice out to people who may not have heard our voice in the first place. This book doesn't only stay in our school, it goes out to the neighborhood. People give the book out to people they meet, and different people, editors, people who work for newspapers can read this, and they can be astonished by what you guys have written, because we have really good writers in this room. And I think that Rise is a way for all of us to communicate. Tell us how you're feeling, tell us what you're thinking, and it's a good way for people to understand how important your voice is. How does it feel to have a piece published in a book, guys? That must feel great. Some of us for the very first time. Right. So we're gonna get started with some of the readers. We'd like to give everyone a chance to hear some of our amazing writers and hear our voices. So a few of our publishers will be reading their pieces. We're gonna start with Miss Michelle.
My name is Michelle Romero, and I will be reading to you guys my personal essay. I have never been and still do not consider myself to be like other girls. When I was young, some of my friends would play with Barbies or pretend to be mothers while I would pretend to be a director, using my friends as actors to bring my stories to life. I always wanted to be what people told me I couldn't or shouldn't be. I remember seeing only a small percentage of women around me working outside of home. I wanted to break down walls and make a change, and I felt so alive when I directed. So I promised myself that I would be a filmmaker when I grew up. But as I grew older, and after talking to so many adults, I realized that careers are meant for paying your bills and not for having fun. And I had this mentality for years up until I was a junior in high school. I had fractured my pelvis 2 months before the school year started. Hence, this is why I'm here at your school. But I was making the effort to come to class despite the pain that I had to endure. One day in my last period of class, I was looking forward to going home, but at the beginning of it, I felt a sharp pain and was rushed into the hospital for potential cardiac arrest. To make a long story short, I was sent to a cardiologist for an echodiagram. Things went from bad to worse and I flatlined. I have never really thought about the phrase, do whatever makes you happy, until that precise moment. I had told myself that whenever my time would come, I would be ready. But when the time actually came, I wasn't ready, and I don't think I'll ever be. Thankfully, I survived and I'm now healthy, but I had forgotten about my long-lost passion. 2 days after the incident, my grandmother, passed away. I remember how many times my grandmother would call and say, Mija, stay in school, and when you get to college, choose something that will make you happy. Now that I am older, I realize what she meant. I wouldn't want to work to survive. I would rather make my next film than sitting and filling out work for the next 8 hours of the day. Desk jobs just aren't for me. I would rather tell stories visually and take an impact on the world and onto human minds. That's why I'm going to college to study filmmaking, so I can keep that promise to my younger self.
Thank you, Michelle, for that. That was really touching. That was a really touching story. You know?
Let's have another round of applause.
Yeah, for real.
Next up, we'd like to call Harlem.
Hello, so I'm going to read you guys a text that is titled, Are You American, My Guy? Yes, I mean, the question is kind of ignorant, don't you think so? We Latin Americans are Americans too. If we have gotten to the point where we only call North Americans Americans, and people doubt if I'm part or not of the continent I belong to, well, society has disappointed me once more. Yes, my native language is Spanish. Yes, my native country is towards the south of the continent. But does the geographic positioning differences within the continent modify my existence in it? I love human logic. Anyways, I think you have done my point already, my guy. Just in case, let me finish it with one of Cancerbero's many phrases. Americanos no son solo los del norte de mi América, sino los que a nuestra América amamos.
Thank you, Harlem. Next up, we have Miss Courtney Brown.
Um, my poem is on page 11. Okay, my poem is called The Thing You Call Life. I am the beauty that you lack, the beauty that you may find abstract, the passion that you see, the gregarious that may leak. I am the pain you feel, but I am the things you do to heal. I am the love you thought you had, I am the love that you lost. I am the heartbreaks, the anger, the sadness. I am the happy, the butterflies in your stomach, the smiles. I am the heartbeat that just got skipped. I am death, misery, and sorrow. I am life, pleasure, and joy. I am the beginning, I am the end. I am the thing you call life, the thing you fear, the thing you should not. The thing you try to avoid, the thing you cannot. That's Thank you, Courtney. That was beautiful. Next up, we like to call for two.
Hello. Um, I'm on page 22. Right. My poem is called Matter. I am matter, the body and its tall melanin slenderness, reacting to the name Patu. The eyes and the way it hopes for more in every setting, under every bridge. The fingers and its throbs as they reveal the unnatural terrain of human life. The feet and its elongated toes stretching forever into the future, sinking in quicksand without a fright. The bones and its creaks and snaps while I pose again for another false shoot. The mind and its clustered black corners with heated animosity creeping beneath. The brain and the way it knows its existence is only a facade created by atoms wishing for reality. The words and its unstable, cracked foundation quivering after every gust of a syllable. The emotions and the way it hides when tempted by a hazy light reflecting off a broken mirror. The breath and the way it hitches while the seven deadly sins suffocates from within. The heart and the way it pumps the oozing red goo in the unforgiving system, striking the clock 12 as the timer runs out. The soul and its desire to breathe without facility, to exist but beyond the known abyss, to be.
Thank you for two. That was very deep too. Next up, we have our host, Tatiana West.
My piece is on page 10. It's called Midnight Drum. Heads fall, nights call. Stars twinkle while eyes wrinkle. Full moon, sleep soon. Beds filled and time is still. Finishes the daytime hum as nighttime plays the midnight drum. Stores are closed while the stray runs through the empty rows. Low music from the park benches plays as the shadow of the night has come to stay. Gentle whispers in the air, telling its secrets to those who hear. Soft cries of the motherless animal are almost inaudible over the roar of the drunkard calling out for things intangible. As the night continues, the tasks for tomorrow are being issued. Slowly, the light begins to peek past the clouds. signaling to the night that it was time for a new sound. Alarm clocks ring, TV's on. It's a new day. Life must go on. Next, we'd like to call up Andrick.
Page 59. The title's untitled. I didn't give it a title. But I'm gonna be reading the first paragraph and the last one. I'm a 17-year-old boy, and I want to be someone, wanting to be a voice, wanting to change people's vision on the world and life. I do want to be a great professional soccer player, not for the money, of course, but because it makes me happy. But being American means a lot, having big dreams, not small ones, not wearing a hairnet or taking people's orders to make money. Having a low wage isn't necessary because dreaming big is my necessity of life. And life can mean many things. As long as you stand high, you view things differently. The moral of the story is the definition of being American means so much and can benefit anyone if you take advantage of everything America could provide. Wanting to be a voice matters to me, only because I believe in second chances. My peers, my society, the youth of my generation has been manipulated by something unexplainable. I would love to make a small contribution, be a voice for my generation. Making them see the reality of life. It's never too late. Don't give up on any dream. If we stand together, we will embark any obstacle together. Do not fail yourself. Push forward and keep your head up. So remember to look up at the stars and not down on your feet. Our destiny is in the stars.
Thank you, Andrew. Now, next up, we have Catherine Velez.
Mine's on page 2. I'm gonna stutter, so just prepare yourself. Okay. My title is called Identity, Culture, and Being American. Alright, we there? Okay. Let's start with the day I came to this polluted earth. June 23rd, 2003. Also the day Beyonce's first studio album came out. I was born in a hospital that just happened to be in Manhattan, New York. However, the sweet smell of rat pee and bus pollution didn't last long. My parents decided to leave their family behind and move to no other than Spring Hill, Florida. Never heard of it? Yeah, neither has anyone in Florida. Before I continue, spoiler alert, I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican. However, since we were surrounded by whiteys, I never really learned to speak Spanish. I just understood it. People would always call me an Oreo. I don't think I need to go into that. We've all seen an Oreo before. There wasn't a time where my hair was not straight. My mom, I guess, thought my hair was too hard to manage, and she preferred straight hair. Thanks for the heat damage, Mom. I appreciate it. It also didn't help that I was competing with Eurocentric beauty standards, so it didn't bother me. I didn't have a diverse group of friends. I didn't speak enough Spanish for the Hispanic kids. I wasn't white enough for the people's racist parents. And I was too much of an Oreo for the black kids. So I did what any other person in a 90s rom-com would do. I became a token Hispanic friend. I mean, it was good for a while. People would ask me how to say bad words in Spanish. Some of them also didn't believe me when I say I was Hispanic. They'd be like, aren't you black? Life in Florida was swell. I didn't do any sports. I ate whatever I wanted. I literally couldn't stop. Then a thing called allergies came into the picture. If you know anything about people with allergies, you would know that we're basically allergic to nature. And what is Florida surrounded by?
nature. Being that there was pollen literally everywhere, I was forced to get 2 shots on my arm, not once but twice a week. That made me a chubby, long-haired Hispanic who was scared of nature and dust. Then my parents decided they had enough of the quiet suburbs to move back to the rat-infested city we know as New York. Okay, it wasn't easy adjusting to the city life. I went from being to the open roads to sitting in the cross Bronx for 45 minutes just to get to school. However, dealing with the rat and trash on the streets was worth it because I got to meet a great group of friends, of people at my middle school. Wow. They really brought out the real me. I started to venture out and join dance and volleyball, even though I was doing dance didn't mean I was good. Okay. However, I found a new hobby that would follow me into high school. Volleyball became something that I really wanted to improve in life. It gave me a sense of happiness. Never felt that. Okay. It also made me feel included. Even though I wasn't good at first, I then went to high school, and I wish I can say it was hard at first, but it wasn't. My freshman year taught me that some people who you call your friends are really waiting for your downfall and try to belittle you in order to calm their insecurities. High school also taught me not to hold grudges, even though it's in my Cancer nature. Okay, I had to learn that holding grudges only affects my life and not the other party. This taught me to just let go.
Thank you, Catherine. Next up, we'd like to call Justine.
So the page is 69, and I titled this Identity. The privilege to be American used to be about freedom and new opportunities and a chance to start a new and better life. Because at times, not many places offer these new beginnings. America is built by different cultures and religions, and we become a swimming pool of identities. And within this, we became the American dream. It became a pattern to success, to make your dreams grow within America, as if it were the only way to make a solution. Although with success rates, identity became a blur, and most people had to fight. And most people had to fit an image to get to where their dreams were, thus losing the meaning of true culture. And to those who didn't fit the image of the new America, therefore leaving and being left behind. In the process, we found the negative aspects of the people and the places that didn't fit this image and simply excluded them. To be American is what you call privilege, but to be yourself and to stand beside where you come from is honor.
Thank you, Justine. Next up, we have Miss Dominique Parker.
My poem is on page 55. If I can get to it. 55, yeah. This poem is called When I Think of a Female. Some of you have heard it before. When I think of a female, I think of all the pain and agony she's been through from birth to domestic violence. I think of how she came from the depths of the darkness to seek the light of happiness, but she has no right to speak. Her mouth is shut and holds back all the thoughts that run through her mind. When I think of a female, I see different faces that hurt her in the past. When I see a female, I see beauty, intelligence, individuality, strength, and power. But all she does is get slut-shamed, raped, and beaten like she's not a human being. Walking through the fires of negativity to make her way through positivity and chances to make her way through life. But she stops and says, I can't be happy with all the hate that blocks me. When I think of a female, I think of how much she wants to prove everyone wrong and shows who's boss in the world. But she fades away into words that trick her mind into thinking she is not a person. When I think of a female, I say, are we back where we started? Keeping our mouths shut for the men that think we are objects to play around with and who treat us like trash. When I think of a female, I imagine how we can come together as one and tell each other that we are here to stay and come alive again and teach people that we are used for sex. Not used for sex. While I am a female, people tell me that I'm stupid, poor, weak, ghetto, and have no fire in my system. Stupid, but yet my intelligence can make you the definition of that word. You think I'm poor, but let's see about that when I'm a doctor who makes hundreds of dollars. Weak, but the words in my fist can knock you out in one punch. Just because I grew up in the west side of Harlem in a bad neighborhood and made it out to where I am now does not mean I'm ghetto. Maybe I have no fire in my system because of my ice colds. Thank you, Dominique. That was beautiful. Next up, we'd like to call Danny Washington, one of our rising freshmen.
Okay. 30. This is called Life, Dreams, and Hopes. When you think of life, you think of culture, traditions, goals, dreams. But what do you do if you don't know your culture and traditions? See, I was adopted, so I don't know my culture or traditions. I don't know where I started and what I should celebrate. Being adopted shaped me as a person, from being in home to not knowing a house you could call home. I don't know who my mom or dad was, who should make me happy when I see their faces. But I still have dreams, things I aspire to be. I want to study science and do art, but it's hard when you're lost at heart. I don't cry and weep, but sometimes it's hard to see. One day I'll learn my place, celebrate and congratulate. Be happy and safe, live life, dream big, high hopes, taking my place in America's race.
Next up, we have Alexis Crespo.
This is on page 71. I'm gonna just read a line. I want to stay young as a kid, but it's basically like the human cycle. There's nothing to stop that human cycle. We all die. Maybe to a kid, to a young man, to a man, and then to a man. Then death. It's so aggravating what we die on the earth. I don't want to leave the earth at all.
Next up, we'd like to call our other host, Jonathan Peterson.
So, mine is called America, and it's on page 6. A growing black man in a racist world. I mean racist for everybody, boy or girl. They aim the guns unknowingly, killing us with corrupt police. Y'all see me, I see you. I acknowledge all that you've been through. I'm not afraid when you aim your guns, but just realize I'm somebody's son. God bless America, land of the brave. Land that's filled with all of the hate. So evil we turn the immigrants away when they come to us for a place to stay. We think we're great, but it's also fake. We're all sick, for goodness sake. All we want is money and change, that's everybody, it's all the same. American dream just ain't made for me, cause I'm too different, just wait and see. Don't forget the name, I'm begging please, don't forget JCB.
Next up, we'd like to call Rosa Flores. Thank you all for your contributions, to those who read and to those who didn't read. And we'd like to say a congratulations to the artists in the room. We have Fatou Kebe, who designed the cover, and on the back the sculpture is made by Nicolette Hines. So we have to and if you look around the room on the easels, you see some of the other student creations, and they were helped by Mr. Montalvo, our wonderful art teacher. So a special thank you to all of you guys. Now we'd like to call up our Simon & Schuster's representative to explain a little bit about the Scholastic Scholarship Award.
Miss LaShonda.
Hi guys, you were all so amazing. I feel so inspired right now. So this scholarship has been going on for I think 4 or 5 years, and I hope it will continue. So it's my honor to present this year's recipient, Miriam Jacob.
Our scholarship winner, Miriam, would like to say a few words.
My name is Miriam Jadou, and I wrote my essay about growing up in West Africa and the education there. So I'll read the first paragraph. I grew up in West Africa in the country of Mauritania. Education there is not valued whatsoever. Education is a way for the government to make money out of its people. From first grade to any education level, parents must pay monthly. That's why most parents don't pursue education for their children, especially girls who suffer more due to cultural beliefs. I, however, did pursue education in Mauritania because my parents were able to afford due to my father working in the United States. However, learning did not extend away from the chalkboard. There was limited supplies, barely anything besides chairs, desks, and chalkboard. Many of us never seen a book until we hit high school. Reading for fun was a bizarre idea for me until I arrived in the United States. Before going to elementary school here, I never touched a book, not a textbook or a storybook. I liked school for most part until we had our designated reading time with the teacher. Each student would read a small paragraph while the rest of the class listened. I dreaded this time so much because when it was my turn to read, I would fail to read one sentence completely right because of words like house, bathroom, and a blanket. I would butcher those words completely, and my accent made it even worse to understand. A lot of students would laugh and call me names because my reading level barely passed one of a 5-year-old. I was 8 at the time. This led to my father being called to school to see if they could put me one grade below. I had refused and promised my father I would read more at home. The next weeks, my father and teacher agreed to starting me at a lower reading level. I started out reading books with only a few words in them, like ones you would read to a 1-year-old. It was embarrassing because my classmates were reading at a 3rd grade level. I then upgraded to books like Charlotte's Web, Dr. Seuss books, Stuart Little, and my favorite, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. My love for books increased, and so did my reading level. I was able to read full sentences without any issues, and my accent also disappeared over time. My journey to reading books was very hard and an embarrassing one. I didn't understand why anybody would read for fun, but as I grew older, the stories in books were an entertaining getaway from the rest of the world. They also helped me academically to catch up with history, math, and English. I hope that when I do attend college, I continue reading for enjoyment, even though the workload, time management, and money will be difficult. I plan on majoring in law and anthropology and journalism, both in which need a lot of reading and studying. Winning the scholarship helped me pursue my major in law because law is a very complex and difficult career, and so is anthropology and journalism. So I thank Simon & Schuster for this scholarship.
Now we will be distributing certificates to our contributors.
everyone. Welcome. And thank you all for being here. I'm so excited that this is our 4th publication of Rise, and I hope that we continue to have many more publications every year. It's really great to see each and every one of you here. And I just want to say that I'm really proud of you for contributing and sharing your voice. Even those of you that were really nervous to come up here, it takes a lot of courage to come up here and speak. And we hope that this empowers each and every one of you to do that, because your word is important. It has power. So I want you guys to take that away when you leave here. Your words have a lot of power. And we are going to be giving certificates to all of the contributors, both writers and artists, today. So we're going to get started with that. Our first certificate goes to Eric Abreu. Eric is not here. Courtney Brown. Donovan Carmichael. Marilyn Cervantes. Chelsea Carrasco.
That's my friend.
Shania Chase. Felix Cornell. Alexis Crespo. Nice job, Alexis. Evelyn Duran. Bela Duran. Is Bela here? Leonardo Espinal. Angel Fernandez. Rosa Flores. Christopher Garcia. Christopher has an amazing drawing in Rise, so please check it out. Kimberly Garcia. 10th grader. Ashley Goris. Casey Grisette. Nicolette Hines. Fatou Kebe. Harlem Lopez. Janaya Martinez. Justine Moya. Jennifer Noesi. Dominique Parker. Catherine Parmalee. Maria Pena. Hender Peralta. Amelia Perez Rosario. Chelsea Perez. Leslie Perez. Editor-in-Chief. Jonathan Peterson. Eridili Polanco. Clarabelle Rivera. Michelle Romero. Jennifer Rosado. Michelle Rosa. Giovanni Sierra. Shane Stoddard. Shane. Janaya Tejada. Gianna Tejada. Andrick Torres. Nice job, Andrick. Lester Torres. Catherine Velez. Alicia, aka Danny Washington. Enid Sanabia. Enid? No. Tatiana West. And Nicholas Nunez.
Okay, before we turn it back over to the wonderful MCs we have here, Tatiana and Jonathan, we just want to extend a very big thank you to Simon & Schuster for this partnership and LaShonda for stepping in and becoming the editor this year. The book is beautiful, and yes, that's because of the beautiful words and art that you created, but this wouldn't be possible without Simon & Schuster, so thank you so much for being here and for everything.
Okay, so like we said, thank you for all you guys who contributed today. Special thanks to Mr. Juan Villar, our principal. Ms. Topaz, our assistant principal. Miss Galvez, I can't even find you. Wait. Oh, there you go. Hi, Miss. Miss Ordonez. Miss Russo. And thank you to the following teachers for helping us make this possible. Miss Brock.
She's not teaching AP Lit next year, but that's okay.
Mr. Peterson. Mr. Juan Rosa in his office. Miss Gonzalez. Our art teacher, Mr. Montalvo. Our other English teacher, Mr. DeMarco. And our tech advisor, Raymond. Okay, yes, obviously. And a very special thank you to Miss Purcell.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So again, thank you all for coming and thank you all for contributing. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys deserve it. And we're going to inform you, there is food. We're feeding you. So you guys sit down for a little bit. They'll call you up when they're ready to serve. Our assistant principal, Miss Topaz, wants us to take a group photo.